everybody. This is Mania. I'm not Mania, but this show is. I'm Tico. I'm the host of it. And today, we're going to be looking at today? Well, basically what we do here is I try to look at just certain topics, just like I think are just funny or whatever that nobody notices in film. Like, for instance, this list is going to be the 3 problems with everybody's top 10 superhero lists. Well, comic book movies. But you would think it's a top 10 superhero movie list, right? But seriously, every time I see a top 10 comic book movie list, all I see are just mistakes. And it's not that I don't agree with them. I agree with most of them. I'm like, oh yeah, that's pretty much somewhat accurate. But when I start to actually do research and actually start to watch film, I start to just notice a little bit flaws in the list. And here, I'm here to educate people. I'm a teacher. I'm not a real teacher, but when this camera gets in front of me, I become a teacher. And you know what? I'm here to teach on films. Look, I even got a notebook with notes inside of it. Look, it's chicken scratch. But who cares? That's my point. We are going to look at three ways your top 10 comic book movie list is bullshit. And I'm not here to say, hey, if you do a top 10 comic book list, your opinion is not as valid as mine. No, I don't give a shit. I think everybody has a valid opinion, okay? For me, though, when I see a top 10 comic book movie list and I just see it featuring mostly, how do I put it? Let's just get into the reasons, okay? Because I think that's the problem. I'm going to solve this list. I'm going to solve it. Today is going to be the last time I see another cliche top 10 comic book movie, superhero movie, whatever list. Let's stop this, y'all. Let's change them. Okay, number 3. It just consists of mostly recent comic book and popular movies. It just, whatever is the recent, like, dope-ass, cool comic book movie. Just best believe Endgame is somehow going to appear on a list, on a top 10 list. By the end of this year, it's going to be on a top 10 comic book movie list of all time. It will be. It will be. I wouldn't be surprised if it's number 1. I don't think it's number 1. Hell, I don't even think it belongs in any top 10 list. But it's going to be. Why? Because we only look at the popular films. The Dark Knight. It's not the biggest Batman movie, or probably Dark Knight Rises is, but my point is The Dark Knight. Who hasn't seen The Dark Knight? Of course it's going to be on everybody's top 10 list. Spider-Man 2? Oh, yeah. It's classic. We were going by mostly what's popular. And I'm not just here to say that, like, one of those, I don't want to sound like one of those assholes, like, what's popular isn't cool. You're all sheeps. No. Most of the time these lists are right. But I just think that they kind of ignore the unpopular superhero movies that are good. Every time I look at a top 10 comic book movie list, I think, where's Hellboy at? It's one of those. It's like, okay, where the hell is Hellboy at? Is that not a good comic book movie? Or are we just looking? Are we just looking at the popular ones, the ones that made $500 million or more? What you need to? It's like, you need to gross at least $700 million to get into this club. It's like, no. Stop just throwing all the popular movies on this list. I don't want to see just the recent comic book movies on the list. Guardians of the Galaxy is like in the top 10 comic book movie list, and I'm thinking, why? It's a great movie, but one of the top 10 greatest comic book movies ever made? Hell no. No, I'm sorry, it's not. It's a really good movie, and I even like the sequel better, because I don't really like the first one. But they're not top 10s. They're not top 10s. And they're not. But I see them in the list a lot. So, to me, it just goes off of what's popular. Well, no, what's cool. What's the recent thing that got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes? It's like, hey, if you got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, you can kind of get into this list. And I think that's bullshit. Now, what's reason number 2? Good, I'm glad we're on the same topic. Predictability. How predictable are these lists? Have you ever just went to a top 10 comic book section, like, list, and you just went into the comic section, right? And somebody's like, The Dark Knight better be at number 1. Yeah, I'm sure, huh? The Avengers better be. I'm sure. Civil War better be in the. Yeah, I'm sure, huh? I'm sure it better be. Why? Because it's predictable. These lists are just crazily predictable. They are way too predictable. I'm like, okay, Let me guess. Number 1, The Dark Knight. Yes. How'd you know? I'm like, oh, psychic, whatever. Number 2, possibly Civil War or some type of MCU movie, because it's almost sacrilege to say that any movie that's came out after Dark Knight is better than The Dark Knight. Oh, yeah, sure. Then what else? Logan, because it's Fox. Even though they made probably the best comic book movie of all time, you know, it's Fox. Oh, yeah, what's number 4? Let's go with Spider-Man 2. Oh, yeah, man, it was great in its day and everything. Impactful, da-da-da-da. We all love it. Stop going with this predictable list. I'm sick of seeing these. Everybody's top 5 is the same. Top 10, a little bit more interesting, because it's harder to make the ones that it's easy to think of. Oh, what do I like the best? Dark Knight, Avengers, Spider-Man, you know. But when you think of ones that you don't like as much, but you still have to put them in, it's more interesting. So then when it's like 5 to 6, like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I like looking at that half of the list more than the top 5, because it gives you more leeway to throw in movies that might be, you know, a controversial pick, but it's like oh, it's only number 7, you know. So I kind of like it when lists do that, because I'm trying to look at movies. Say I've seen a lot of comic book movies, but there's probably some I haven't seen. I don't know. So if I haven't seen it and it's on the list, it's going to make me want to watch it. But it's not going to make me want to watch The Dark Knight again because it's on a top 10 list. No, it doesn't make me feel anything. It's like, oh yeah, The Dark Knight, I know it's going to win. It doesn't make me want to watch Avengers again. Like, it doesn't make me want to watch Civil War again. None of that stuff does. But I kind of look at these lists the same reason like most people do. It's to see if my opinion is right. That's really the reason. It's like, hey, let me hear my opinion read back to me in a way. You know, it's like, okay, is The Dark Knight number 1? Oh yeah, okay, good. We're all sheep, right? Nah. But seriously, these lists just come across as very predictable. It's like I can almost predict your top 5. In fact, anytime you guys want to do a top 10 list of superhero movies or whatnot, hell, or comic movies, here, I'll do it for you, and I bet it's pretty much the same thing. You just might have to, switch the placings, but it's like these are literally the top 10 movies. They're so predictable, and oh gosh, I just hate how predictable they are. It's just like when I watch it, I'm like, oh, let me guess, number 1, top 3. Where's your Dark Knight, Civil War, Avengers, Spider-Man 2 at, or Logan? Where are those at? Because you know, those are great. And don't put Black Panther anywhere in that list, because, you know, it's overhyped. You know, it's overrated. The critics were scared to give it a bad review. You know, it's like, it's very just popular-wise. It's like a millennial list. It's like top 10 comic book movies every kid born after 1998 thinks are, you know? It's like, oh man, I have nostalgia for this movie, Spider-Man 2, so I'll put that in there, you know? But I don't know. I just don't think that these lists are good or teach anything when they're so predictable. A top 10 list should teach you. It should teach you stuff, you know? It should teach you, like, oh, wow. It should teach you why people like that certain thing. I don't get, it's like, oh, if I see Guardians of the Galaxy up there and the person's just saying, oh, it's Guardians of the Galaxy, this movie was a hit back in 2014, everybody, I know that. Tell me something I don't know. It's a predictable list. Stop being so predictable with your list, people. When you make a comic book movie list, just come on, just throw in your favorite comic book movies. Not that what you think are the best. Your favorite. Film is subjective. It's what you like, not what you think is the best filmmaking. Okay, I'm sorry that one went on a rant, but I'm just sick of them being predictable. I'm sick of looking at a top 10 comic book movie list and it's like, oh my god, it's the only thing that changes is that, oh, a new movie that came out and is over 90% on Rotten Tomatoes might crack the list. Like, come on now. Now, what's my last reason in my handy-dandy film notebook? Yeah, oh, good. Not including non-superhero films. Stop doing that. Stop. Look, and here's what I mean. Remember earlier I was like, where's Hellboy? Yeah, where is Hellboy? How is Hellboy 1 and 2, like either of those do not make any lists? Not the new Hellboy, the one that Guillermo del Toro made in the early 2000s and late 2000s, both of them. Why aren't those on the list? When Hellboy 2 came out, hell, it was the best movie of that summer next to The Dark Knight. When Hellboy 1 came out, it was the best movie of the summer in 2004. Next to Alien vs. Predator. I love Alien vs. Predator, I'm sorry. But seriously, Hellboy and Hellboy 2 are like, they're comic book movies. They're just not based on Marvel and DC. So it's like, they don't get into the list. Why? Well, yes, the list focuses on, popular, I guess if Hellboy made $500 million, then probably would get into the list. But no, It's not even just Hellboy. Films like Men in Black. Men in Black is based on a comic book, and it's one of the best comic book movies of all time. Nobody credits Men in Black for coming out in 1997 and being the very first modern comic book movie that's successful. Oh no, it wasn't successful, you know. Oh, but hell, in '98 when Blade comes, because it's based on a Marvel property, everybody says, oh, that started the thing for comic book movies. Gosh, maybe I don't get it. I just don't get it. We were like these lists. Here now, rant time. Look, here's what I mean by this. I am so sick of looking at a top 10 list and it's nothing but superhero movies with capes and costumes. Okay, that's your top 10 superhero movie list. What about top 10 comic book movie list? What about that? No, oh, nobody cares, huh? Nobody cares, huh? But seriously, comic book movies. Dick Tracy. Peanuts. Those are comic books. Oh, those are comic strips. They're books. They're comic books. You read them just like a comic. They got speech bubbles and shit. They're comics. Not even that. No, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Oh, yeah, the new ones. Oh, they're just so terrible because Michael Bay's name on them. Those new movies are pretty good. I like those new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies because they know what they are. But not just those. What about that very first old one that was amazing? That movie was great. Come on. Not even that. It's because when we think, it's like the people that make this list, they haven't seen that stuff. They just haven't seen it. It's like when they make the list, they're just thinking about action movies. Oh, our Guardians of the Galaxy gets more points as a comedy in it. Let me tell you about a comic book movie that's a comedy that nobody talks about. And it's one of the best ones. Deadpool? No. Yeah, right. Deadpool is not even that funny to me. But I'll tell you what. The Mask. Nobody talks about The Mask. How come? It's it's the role that made Jim Carrey into the star. That Ace Ventura, but you can argue The Mask shot him into stardom. It's one of the you could argue that started the trend of comic book movies. You got you got a star and you played a comic book role, and the comic book role wasn't that known until the star made it popular, and it had a sequel. Oh no, but it's not based on Batman or Superman or somebody wearing a fucking cape. Gosh, why do they have to wear capes and leotards? Why can't it, it's just based on superheroes. These lists are all based on superheroes. Until I see Men in Black, The Mask, Dick Tracy, or one of the Peanuts movies on a list, or the old school Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or just something other than just Marvel and like one or two DC movies, then your lists are bad. They are not teaching people nothing. You're just going off of, oh, this film has a 90 whatever on Rotten Tomatoes. It's great. And then you might throw in one of them in for personal opinion. Oh, I freaking love this movie even though everybody hates it. Okay. But that's why I believe nobody's done really a good comic book movie list, because we define comic book movies as superhero movies. Sometimes I see The Incredibles or Unbreakable in a comic book movie list. I'm like, so Hellboy, Watchmen, 300. And there's even more. V for Vendetta. Those films don't count because they're not traditional superheroes in costumes. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, nobody takes them seriously. Even when their movie is serious, nobody takes them seriously. Men in Black is seen as more of a Will Smith movie, and The Mask is seen as a Jim Carrey vehicle. Doesn't matter. They're based on comics. That's all that matters. When people were talking about, the Men in Black failed this week, there should have been articles saying, hey, is this like comic book movie fatigue? No, because it's not about comic book movies. It's about superheroes. People like superheroes. And that's what all these lists are about. And that's why all these lists are wrong. Because when you do a top 10 comic book movie, I don't want to see a top 10 non-superhero comic book movie list. Just so you can just make up a list for that and say they can't be on there. Dick Tracy got like 11 or 12 Oscar nominations. What did Logan, the Dark Knight, got like, well, shit, he got 8. But he didn't get no Best Picture or Best Director. Or Best Adapted Screenplay. Like Dick Tracy did. Just saying. And but seriously, that's to me what my problem is with most of these lists. They are They are cliche. It's only based on the popular films that everybody could just name without doing any research. Oh, The Dark Knight, Guardians of the Galaxy, The Avengers, or whatever. You might hear a Blade thrown in there, or most likely not, because I still haven't seen Blade 2 in any top 10 comic book movie list, and that, to me, belongs in the top 10 comic book movies. Hell, damn, or top 5. But seriously, I just think that maybe we just look at the movies like the age. It's the age thing. Oh, the movie hasn't aged well. I see people saying Batman '89 hasn't aged well. The old Superman movies didn't age well. I think that has nothing to do with your list. Oh, how something's aged. I think that's a bullshit argument. Oh, this didn't age that well. Yes, we could not make a man convincingly fly in 1978. Whatever. But his flying was good enough to where you can just picture yourself out of it. And if you can't, then don't be that asshole online complaining about CGI. But that's why I think everybody's comic book movie list is bullshit. I don't care what's at the top. I don't care what's at the bottom. I don't care. All I care is how the list is conducted and what films are on the list. Not because I want to see these films. It's because I want to see love for the whole comic book genre. And when people say, oh man, comic book movies have came a long way. Stop saying that. They haven't. Superhero movies came a long way. Comic book movies were here always. They're always here. It just took superhero movies not even that long to catch on. Wasn't Superman like a success? Wasn't the Batman series great? And when people say the Batman and Robin killed comic book movies, oh, it just put comic book movies. Batman and Robin came out in 97. 98 Blade came out. It didn't kill shit. Spawn also came out that year. There were lots. Their comic book movies came out damn near every year since maybe 1978. Maybe not every year, but hell, every other year. Come on now, people. Let's stop that. I just think it's underdog mentality. You're just looking at like how hard somebody's worked or how hard you perceive somebody's worked or got hated on. Like, oh, comic book movies were not comic book movies. Superhero movies were seen as, kids' entertainment for one, and now they're the most popular genre in film. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but that's still no reason to give superhero movies more credit than actual comic book movies. And when we talk about comic book movies, I would like to see Men in Black, The Mask, The Rocketeer, what's that one movie that came out, The Phantom, movies like that. I would like to see those just get a little bit more credit. Not some YouTuber just going through the retrospect of it, but just being on official top 10 list. Like from Watch Mojo, from Looper, from Screen Rant, from any of the bigger sites. Because why? Because that would trickle down. People will watch those movies and get a different reaction. But if you're just telling everybody that these movies are dated, you shouldn't watch them, that's how they're going to look at them. Oh, it's dated, there's no CGI, and the practical effects work just doesn't age well. Oh, it's dated because of the dialogue. Forget that. These movies were impactful for their time, and I think you need to watch those movies not in the eyes of a 2019. That's the problem. We're looking at shit with a 2019 filter, like that didn't age well, that didn't age well, that didn't age well, that didn't age well, that didn't age well. Only a few movies age well. Somehow the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies haven't aged well. Somehow the Dark Knight movies haven't aged well. Sometimes people talk about that the Dark Knight aged, and the Dark Knight's only been 10 years. Gosh. That's my problem. I'm sorry. It was a rant. It went on just for a cool special, but that's what I want to teach. Go out and actually look at comic book movies, but not just superhero movies. Because odds are, you'll be looking in the wrong direction. You guys have a good one. This is Mania. I am Tico. I hope I gave people something to walk away with, just something to walk away with and talk, that's why I like talking about film. It just gives us to these conversations. It's like, but they're so fun. They're just great, and I just hope that people can maybe look at comic book movies differently and not just look at them as superhero movies, but just movies based on a comic book. Like Dick Tracy, Peanuts, whatever. Comic strip, comic book, same difference, okay? Those movies need more respect. The Mask, Men in Black need more respect. Not just as action films and like crazy comedies, but as being one of the first highly successful comic book movies of the modern era. That's what I'm talking about. Like and subscribe below to Mania, you guys. Let me know in the comment section what topic should I like I go through, like, next. Like, what topic should I make 3 things about and rant about next? Because I like just making 3 specific things, just killing it, and, you know, on topics. I have other topics, but do you want to see a topic? Do you want to see anything? Let me know in the comment section below. Let me know if you didn't agree. If you like these comic book movies and feel like most of the comic book movies from the past didn't age well, and that Mask and the Men in Black really don't count as comic book movies, then whatever. Let me know in the comment section below and why they don't count. But at the end of the day, this is all films, and this is all love for everybody. You know, this is just that's what films is. You know, it's love. It's you know, a projection of somebody's passion, you know, in a way. And I just think that you know, we all should just we're all really into the recent ones, and unless they have like a nostalgic feel to them, we just kind of forget about them. We forget about like the Rocketeer. We forget about those movies. So like and subscribe below if you liked it, and if not, still comment and tell me what you didn't like about it, or you know what you don't agree that these comic book movies shouldn't be mentioned. Let me know, and you guys have a wonderful day. Bye.